Hello everybody, this is Dean Phoenix with part 2 of my Bioshock Infinite guide. So episode 2, just picking up where we left off, where we just set up and got our infusions and gear and things for this being the version of the game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where you get the extra gear and things like that. So you can see here we've got the gear that we had there at the end. For the weapons, you get automatic upgrades to the damage for the machine gun, the pistol, and also the shotgun and the sniper rifle, which is great because those are the two weapons you get early on, and then two of the more useful weapons, and the shotgun, especially the sniper rifle, going forwards. And later on, when you get a couple of the Vox ones, they have some automatic upgrades as well, which can be useful. So I've got the possession aid there, and I'm not going to be upgrading any of the other early vigors. You can usually get by just fine with those, so that's the only one we've got so far. So we're going to carry on here, and this is just going through some of the early combat sections in the game, because it gets easier as with some games the more upgrades and things you get. So it's only really at the beginning that you have to be particularly careful and know what you're doing, and there are some tactics whilst you're getting used to 1999 mode that can be helpful. So because we put 4 of the infusions into salts, you can see that we've got 3 uses of possession, the vigor down at the bottom left. So you can use a couple of those. I don't mean that the salt pickups and everything else go a little way further as well. So just keep your distance, use this bit of cover at the start if you want to duck behind it if your shield looks like it's going to run out. And you can just use the machine gun that you've just picked up as well. And like I say, just hover back. If you do get your shield busted, make sure you don't take any damage, and go from there. So there are a couple of enemies, and then there's a turret, and you need to be mindful of the turret. You can use possession on it, it lasts a lot longer on the turret than it does on the actual enemies, the human enemies themselves, even with that possession aid upgrade. So you can see here we're just dodging a bit of the fire. And you can get the turret to take some of these guys out for you, and then if you rush forwards you can trigger the next wave of enemies to come in, and then quickly dash back, and usually you'll be able to trigger them, and if you want there is an oil spill, and you can use the Devil's Kiss on those as well. So you see the machine is still possessed there, and so you can make use of that. Just pick up some of the health and ammo if you need, and then after the turret has taken out some of the enemies for you, you can take it out from distance with the pistol, and you get plenty of pistol ammo during this section as well, so it's quite useful. Try and hit them in the head with the pistol if you can. It does a lot of extra damage when you get critical hits for hitting an enemy in the weak spot, which for human enemies is their head. And if you've got spare salts, so you've got enough salts to use, try and possess one of the enemies towards the end of this period, because there's another turret here, and it's easier to take out if it's distracted by your possessed human enemy. There's plenty of salts around here, there's one there, and there's another one that you can just see on the bottom left. So make sure that you're using possession if you need to, just to keep the enemies distracted, and because they also kill themselves at the end of it. So make sure you make full use of your salts, and also make sure if possible that you're at full salts before we continue. So this is just a quick fast forward, and the next bit that is important, there's some silver eagles to pick up around here before you go into this large house here after using the skyhook to jump across. Now this is tricky, there are quite a few enemies. This is the first quite tricky bit of combat. There are a few enemies, and there's a few things to know. So there's some salt under that chair that was just there. There's the salt you can see here as well. A couple of silver eagles to grab, and that turret, if you come out through the back door, the way that I've shown there, I find it much easier to come out before the enemies engage you, and then just to take them out from distance here, and to engage them with the actual turret as well. You can possess it from quite a while away. Possession sort of homes in, so if you get it in roughly the right area when you set it going, it will home in on the turret or enemies if you're using it on those. So as you can see, it's quite helpful there. And then if you've just heard just then, there is a fireman as well. Now the fireman is quite dangerous. He's a little more difficult to take out than the first fireman. All the subsequent firemen are a little trickier. So again, make sure you keep your distance. Grab that salt that I just picked up there. Now the fireman doesn't stay possessed for long, but he will do a lot of damage to enemies anyway, so it's very useful to possess him and keep him off your back a bit. And there are the salt pickup we got under the chair, and then those 2 packs of cigarettes, which you know, give you a lot of health normally. This will be a customary theme. I always accidentally hit the navigation aid, but hey, at least it proves that I am on 1999. So if you drop a possession trap, it will sometimes kill an enemy and then possess the fireman, or anything like that. You can still get a bunch of critical hits to his head there as well, if needed. And you should be able to do enough damage, and then if he gets close to you, you can hit him because of the bull rush trousers that we have equipped, and then you can just stock up on salts and things after the match. So make sure that you retreat into the house if you need, and you're grabbing all this stuff up afterwards. Use possession on any of the vending machines the first time you come across them, and make sure that we have extra whenever you pick up any of the voxophones like we did just there, and use that for the you saw the little thing that plays the videos for the sightseer achievement. So then there's a couple of enemies to take out, and just possess one of them as you go into this Order of the Raven. Make sure that you stock up on salts again, and here this is the next thing I'm going to show. So there's this bit here, and there's a set piece with a ton of enemies, but if you charge up a possession trap, only one person can be possessed at a time. And so I took out 5 enemies there, and then I threw Devil's Kiss so that the one that remains will also, whilst they're wandering about doing your bidding as a possessed person, will also emanate fire, which is one of the bigger combinations for possession in combination with Devil's Kiss. So that's a lot of salt to be using there, but there are a couple of salt pickups knocking about still. And you can, I could have picked up that salt as you saw just there as well. There's only one guy left, and with you having Bull Rush, you can smack him like that, and just keep distance, especially with him being a melee attacker. You can just keep knocking him over with Bull Rush, which is why that is quite useful in this early going as well. So after you've killed all these, you want to loot everything. Again, I'd actually forgotten to switch off extra there because there was only one guy to really fight, so that's not a problem. And then there's a few things you have to look at here. So before we went into the house that we ended up fighting the fireman and possessing the turret and things, there was a balcony there which you can go back to, and the key that we just picked up will let you get an infusion. But I'm going to leave backtracking for now. Now this bit is really important. So after that first floor of the Order of the Raven house, you go through, go up an elevator, and then there's this hidden compartment which has a piece of gear. Now this piece of gear will always be a set of pants. You can see Headmaster, critical hit damage increased by 50%. That's a really good one. But what you can do here is you can reset. So you do restart checkpoint, because that was just a checkpoint where we come up the elevator. And it only takes you a minute or two to reset and pick up this gear again and again. Now the gear in Bioshock Infinite is randomized, so what you want is that urgent care, and that is extremely useful for 1999 mode. So you want to basically restart checkpoint, and if you want to go from a defensive perspective like I do, then you want to have the urgent care trousers. Those are really useful. They reduce the amount of time it takes for your shield to start regenerating, because it does take a long time on 1999 mode relative to the other modes. Or you want to get that Headmaster, which is 50% critical hit, which means your headshots with the pistol or the machine gun will be doing an extra 50% damage. So I would say reset until you get urgent care. It's never taken me more than like 2 or 3 resets. Sometimes you even get it first go. Then we're going to switch back to Electric Punch, and we have got Urgent Care as the trousers now, and here you have to fight on the actual guys from the Order of the Raven, one of the crows. So we've got 3 Devil's Kiss traps, and then you will trigger him here, and because you're on this little sort of bridge area and there are 3 traps about, if you just trigger him there, it will make sure that he always gets hit by a trap, takes a ton of damage, and will also be vulnerable to the Devil's Kiss as well. So then you grab Murder of Crows from him, and Murder of Crows is a really good vigor, very useful. It's basically the sort of spiritual successor to Insect Swarm, which is one of my absolute favourites in Bioshock 2. It's a little underwhelming in Bioshock 1. But Bioshock 2, Insects 1 was really good, and Murder of Crows is like a cool updated version of that. And you can see that when you pick that up, you actually get a ton of salt there as well. So you can use Murder of Crows. There's about 4 or 5 guys here, and I actually have the combat text on set in the menus. It's very useful because it will show you things like when you get in a critical hit, and it'll show you when enemies are vulnerable when they're being hit by figures like Murder of Crows, and show you when you're hitting somebody at distance. So after you've killed those 4 or 5 guys, you can again stock up on salts, grab those, and then we're good to go and continue on. So after you finish the fight against the crow, you've got a piece of gear. Now this one is not randomised, this one will always be Burning Halo. The damage taken from fire is reduced on 1999 mode, so I find Electric Punch is a little bit better, but Burning Halo will be useful later on in the game. There's a very specific thing with the charge vigor, so make sure that you pick it up anyway. Now here there's a wallet to grab, there's another thing for Sightseer, one of the looking glass things, that there, telescope, so make sure you grab that. And then there's just a couple of rooms, couple of enemies, and then you get to this bit, which is the Monument Island Gateway. You go through the doors, double doors, and it has this loading bit. Now this again can be a tricky fight, but because we've got plenty of salts with the right strategy, it's really doable. So run forward first to trigger the enemies, and then possess the machine. Now that will have the benefit of not only getting the machine taken out for you, the turret, but it will also distract the enemies for a little bit, and then you can possess one of the other guys, preferably one of the people with guns, because they do more damage for you and are more useful to have them possessed. And then just stay behind cover, try and get critical hit headshots with the pistol if you can from distance, and if you get in a hairy spot or one of them charges you, use possession again. And then there are a couple of salt pickups that you want to get, so make sure that you grab those to stay stocked up on salts, because you can always go back afterwards and scavenge more salts after you've cleared this room. So there's one salt pickup there, and then there's another here. So make your way around, try and use your guns, stay behind cover, watch for these guys coming around at the side, and if you need to, again, get the possession vigor to do the work for you. That's why that possession aid for $50 a Silver Eagles is extremely good. The Murder of Crows will also home in on enemies a little bit, so you can use that if you're not quite sure where the enemy is, and make sure that it homes in on them, disables them that way, and lets you know where you should be attacking. Then just go and scavenge the rest of the rooms. There's a few rooms at the back of this large hallway, and you can grab those, and then come back and possess these 2 machines. Now we need to use the keys that we found in the Order of the Ravens facility. This is the last point, the chance that you get to come back. So stock up on your salts as you come all the way back here to the place where you fought the firemen, and you can use as much salts as you want to take these people out. So use possession judiciously, liberally, or whatever you want to say, and then just take out the last few, and make sure that you are not taking any health damage. If you can, you definitely don't want to die, because that loses you 100 Silver Eagles each time. One thing I did forget to mention, there is a large med pack in this side room, so if you're fighting the firemen, and there's a small med pack there, so when you're fighting the firemen and the other guys, it can get a bit hairy, so if you need health, make sure you look in those side rooms. So then we're going to come here. This is back where you'll recognise it from that first little protracted fight before, and you want to come and loot all the stuff from this house. So again, get extra so that because there's a Vox phone that we want to grab. You can just leave that guy be, he doesn't really do anything or pose any harm. Make sure you grab these Silver Eagles here, and then switch to extra. You're going to grab a Vox phone, which tells you about and then finding the key for this chest. Finding the chest and forgetting the key, sorry. And then you can get the salt. You can either put another one into the salt power-ups, or you can put one into your shield. So I want to make sure that by the time I get to the Hall of Heroes, I have 7 or 8 infusions in salt, which means that you can have 6 or 7 infusions in your shield by that time. I like to stock up on salt first, because when you get 7 infusions in salt, you've got 4 uses of possession instead of 2, which I find extremely useful early in the game, because possession's like super overpowered. There's no telescope on this platform, which I don't show here, but you can grab and see it just in the distance there. And you want to kill these two guys, and I'm just showing this because this is the first time you ride the Skyline, and you want to make sure that you get the infusion, so I'm just showing that you don't want to miss this here. And again, you can either put that into salts or put it into the shield. I actually go for shield on one there. So you continue on, there's a few cutscenes, a few enemies to kill. Make sure you have extra for all of this section when you actually get to Monument Island, because there's a couple of voxophones to pick up. You might as well get the extra silver eagles. And then after you've got all this stuff, just showing you this bit before you meet Elizabeth and liberate her, because there's this voxophone here, and then there's this infusion, which is very easy to miss. So make sure that you get that one. And again, I've put the 7 into infusions, and then you can start putting some into the shield after that. So you go up this elevator, and this is when you get to the top, and you have a bunch of cutscenes, meet Elizabeth and rescue her. And I will pick it up next time at Battleship Bay with a very important exploit for 1999 mode. So if you're watching back on YouTube, hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time for the next episode. Thank you for watching.